Our next speaker before lunch, it comes from far north Queensland, so now mixing it up a little bit again. This is about plastic recycling, and we've seen everything about China and local markets and what we can and can't do with plastics, etc. Leslie Van Staveren and her husband Cole are co-owners of FNQ Plastics, and it's the largest plastics fabrication business in far north Queensland. So this takes it out of southeast Queensland, it puts it up into the top end where we need that ReGen component, and it's also looking about feasibility of a large plastics recycling facility in that part of the territory. Leslie's won numerous awards, entrepreneur from the Australian Institute of Management, Cairns Businesswoman of the Year, and as a small business owner, it's imperative that we get these sort of projects up that rebuild community confidence in recycling so we can actually do something with the plastic that we recover. So welcome, mate. Come up and have a chat.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very aware I'm the last thing standing between you and lunch, so I'm going to keep it interesting. Firstly, thank you so much, Rick, for the opportunity to come along and speak to you all today. Now, this is a really great step for us because we have been in plastics for just over a decade now, but when we're stepping into the waste industry and recycling, to be able to speak and communicate with yourselves, a room that is a wealth of knowledge, is invaluable for us. So, as Rick said, my name is Leslie Van Staveren. Cole is sitting right here, and we own and operate a fabrication business. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that, but overall, I'm going to talk to you about North Queensland, the recycling side that we're going to action, and plastics itself. So just so I can get a bit of a perspective, who here is based in a metro area? Just by show of hands. All right, beautiful. Regional and remote. Okay, so majority from regional, so you'd understand a lot of the challenges, but just to give you a bit of a background on who we are. FNQ Plastics, we have been going 11 years, there's 10 of us in the team. Cole, he's got around 30 years experience himself within the industry, plastics specifically, so we know our market. We're in manufacturing, fabrication, consulting, and innovation. It's what we do day in, day out. As all of you do, it's what we do as humans. We innovate on a daily basis. Personally, we have 3 young children. We had 3 in under 3 years, and they're only 3, 5, and 6. Yes, we did find out the cause, and we solved that problem. So we have a bit of a busy life, but we have a really passionate interest in doing something for our local community. Because as you can probably tell by my accent, I am English, so please don't hold that against me. But what that means is I've grown up sorting automatically. You go shopping, you go to the supermarkets, and you've got the big domes where you take your bottles, and it's done, it's sorted. So coming over to Australia in 2007, I started off in Perth just for a month and then ended up in Cairns. Now, it's one of the most beautiful, pristine places that I've ever seen. Who's been to Cairns? Yeah. Beautiful. So it's where, obviously, the reef meets the rainforest, but there's a big, big gap in the infrastructure up there, and in a place where it's so needed. So with what we do, we recognise the challenge. There is the lack of the infrastructure up there. We have multiple issues which I'll come to. But without the support there, the machinery, the equipment, the processing. So with that in mind, we actually do freight our recycled materials from down south, is what we do, because we still offer that as an option. But we see the opportunity to do it ourselves. So when you're talking in the next growth phase, this is what we're moving into, ReGen Plastics, obviously the regeneration. Now, as all of you would know, we're always talking about the materials. Plastics is not created equal. It might look the same in some types, but it behaves so differently. Different compositions, different life skills, different UV stability. So what we do as a constant market is actually educate those around us and in our community on the differences, because they want to be along the journey with us. But we've got to help them do that and understand there's a big difference between the single use, the disposables, the low quality that we import over, and the pure grade, the higher resins, the engineering resins that we use in so many applications, whether it be from engineering, aviation parts, which make a difference in freight and transport and cost. So that's a really, really big conversation to be had, is changing the perception. Now, North Queenslanders, anyone from regional areas, you know a big challenge, and obviously besides Australia, is everything is so far away from each other. Even within Cairns, everything that we have in the north that's recycled is freighted from down south. So we need a little bit more where we are. So with what we do, you've also got the population to consider, because we've been working on a project now for just over 2 years for ReGen, and we've come across many challenges. So for what we're going to be looking at here is you've also got 16 remote communities which have zero infrastructure, no job opportunity, that it could really be solved by a lot of problems from sorting, collection, and actually having somewhere to send their recycling to, up north. Because currently when everything's collected, it gets sent down south, which is fine in some angles, and we won't be able to tackle everything. But one of the big challenges is population. So when you consider, obviously, Melbourne's got 4.8 million people, Brisbane, 2.4 million, Cairns itself has got just under 150,000 people. So most of the time, people, when we're talking about what we're doing, the conversation is, why would you want to do it up here? You need to do it down south. We haven't got the population, we haven't got the feedstock. So the conversation becomes about scalability, meeting our needs, meeting our demand based on our population. Money, the perception of recycled products. Most people, they perceive recycled products as lower quality, higher cost. It doesn't meet their value systems, their purchasing decisions. So what we need to do is, and we've heard some really great speakers this morning, so it's actually been really great to hear from everyone else, because again, it's part of what we do is educating our market. We're the educators to bring the general public and business along the journey, because they want to do the right thing, they want to learn. So we need to actually create product that is high value and good cost. Because right now, everything that we bring up, you've got a big freight component. And most of the time, that makes it very difficult for people to choose what they would really, really like to support. Quality. We have touched on quality. And look, how great would it be? You've got this wonderful couple here, you know, they're skipping along and smiling while they're sorting. They've even taken the lids off the bottles. Wouldn't that be great in the real world? And we know we've got the general household waste, we've got agricultural, we've got fisheries, and all of those present their challenges. Obviously, the medical industry, with so many pathogens convoluted in those collections, we recognise that we can't do everything. But when you talk about quality, we'll be dealing more in the purer plastics and educating people along the way of the difference. And yes, that's a big, big challenge, and you might be thinking good luck, is what we're all trying to do, but when you've got a unified voice and everyone working in the same direction, it creates movement. So we're starting to see a lot of interest in the far north, a lot of support, so it's pretty exciting times. The product life cycle. Again, with the challenge that we've got, some of the products that we see, and again, the thought process that a lot of people see, is that you get a product generated, great, has its life, and then finishes. Goes maybe too brittle, or the composition, the additives that are being put in, sometimes makes it too hard to then do anything with at the end of the process. So with what we're looking to do, we're going to be doing a lot of testing and research on what we produce to keep the loop going. So everything that we put out, we want to still be able to recycle. So it'd be recycled and recyclable. And we think that's key, because you've got to, again, we always talk about changing the conversation. And this is a really exciting time for us to very much embrace with what we do, because we're coming at it from a different angle, from being plastic specialists. Perception and reality in the public eye. This is a really interesting thing, and obviously There's so much on social media. We see the videos shared left, right and centre. Obviously, as Ray said, we know about the ocean plastics. We know all that stuff. And sometimes we even see the conversation now going, recycling isn't the answer. Don't support the recycling industry because it stops people from reducing and reusing. Again, when we're talking about public perception and looking at what we're doing, we believe in waste reduction. I actually head up an organisation called the Committee for Waste Reduction, which is a group of local organisations, businesses and community groups actually coming together to look at initiatives on how we can change things, what else we can do. But it needs to be very much along the line that, yes, we need to reduce. We need to get rid of those single-use items and everything that can't be repurposed or recycled, because that doesn't help anyone. And that's things that most people obviously can't deal with. I mean, you're in the industry, it's always the challenge. So again, it's bringing people along the journey with us. What we've needed to do is, as I say, we've been working on this journey for it's probably nearer to 2.5 years now, because we see the opportunity and we know it's very much needed in North Queensland. Our original business model was to establish a full recycling facility that can produce 5,600 tonnes of plastic waste. But what we realised is we needed to take it back a step because we didn't have a tangible product. We hadn't proven the market yet, so we needed to show our skin in the game and also produce the product first to actually roll out, and then the conversation becomes upscaling what we do. We can actually show the proof of concept, we have the material. Where we're up to right now, and it was really great hearing from Michael even about the support from the Queensland Government, is we've been successful in a matched funding from the Regional Jobs Investment Package for our Phase 1, because what we've done to do the proof of concept is to look at the fact we need to start at the end to go to the beginning. That means sourcing the pellets from elsewhere at this point. Having the extrusion line and a custom design mould at the end of the process. Now with the extrusion line, we have actually hit order. So the equipment is on the way to us and that'll be arriving around December, January time. So this is a huge step for us. It means we can actually move forward in what we're doing. The custom mould is actually designing a product which we'll reveal in due course. But part of the challenge is whenever you're looking at new projects, new businesses, you can't, unless you've got massive investment, which is in a very nice position to be in, obviously, it's one step at a time. So what we've done is been able to design a product that can have multiple applications. So when you look at the Swiss Army knife, perfect example of multifunction from one tool. That's what we know we need to do to be able to move forward to show that there is value in this market. It's no longer a conversation of recycled products, they're not the priority. So we've actually got a design that is a panel. Doesn't sound very exciting right now, but when you see it, it's tested on SolidWorks software. And now we're along the line of being able to take it that next step forward. So things are moving. But what we'll be doing is it'll have to be tested through CSIRO, Oz Industries, so we'll be developing all those partnerships to make this move forward. So when you talk about specifications through local government, through tenders, through policies, it's not just a case of we have to do it because it's a recycled product. It's a case of this is a product that works. The price point, yes, we have got euros there, but wouldn't it be nice if people were willing to hand over their money? Wouldn't that be great if it's actually something that meets the standards, that is recycled, that people actually want, that looks good as well? So we need to meet a price point, and we will meet a price point around ply, structural ply. Because it's got to meet the value systems of the consumers, of those in the building industry, of those looking at major projects. And that's what we're working in line with, to look at the demand and look at where we need to approach to build what we're doing, because we know the foundations have got to come from the ground up. And that comes from our knowledge and expertise and looking at challenges and listening to those around us. But the really interesting thing is what we do, we can't do it alone. because we are specialists in manufacturing, processing, but we know what we need to do to move forward is work alongside existing framework. So logistics. We would ideally not like to establish a whole new logistics network if we can avoid it. We believe in strengthening existing businesses and working hand in hand with our local counterparts, people that are already doing the work, already doing it, to fit in with them and their specialist areas. Waste to energy. As I've said, our focus and our specialism is plastic, and half the time of what we're doing and already doing is educating people on the difference of plastic materials, the difference between pure grade and low quality, and really requesting people to start looking at their purchasing decisions. And it's really great to see that come across from so many angles. So we'll be looking at partnering with waste to energy plants. So anything that is too convoluted that we can't deal with, because obviously there'll be a certain amount of that. You will know, you're in the industry, I'm sure half the time you get things coming through the door that you wouldn't even touch. And we're very aware of the challenges. We spent quite a bit of time actually going out to see the farmers looking at the bales of the plastic sheeting, and we know that there's even the organic matter that's so tangled up that it's difficult to process. So again, we need to look at challenges like that. Community and business. Now these go very much hand in hand. And for us, it's about building partnerships with the people in our community to reach out to them and, as I say, bring them along in the journey, because part and parcel of what we do, it needs to have the support of those around us. Because whenever you're moving into new markets, and something that will be so beneficial in jobs and solving such a big issue, something where we haven't got any infrastructure to actually process the material, we need the support of those actually out there in the community. So we do work in line with community groups that are out there, even the ones doing beach cleanups. We support them in their endeavours. We actually get out there with the kids sometimes. Local businesses. What's really exciting in North Queensland is the amount of connection to our region. It's such a beautiful place, and so many people, they feel it so passionately. So you've got the majority of businesses out there now looking at what they can do themselves. Now we know in line it's got to flow right through onto the consumers, the purchasing, the collection. We understand all that. But what we're really starting to see is a reach out of businesses that want to do better, that are now looking at different sorting systems within their companies, that look at reducing what they are doing, look at reusing what they're doing. It's really exciting times. So we've got a whole movement going up in the north. We've got relationships building, and we know we've heard from government. Well, we're already working alongside in conversations with Cairns Regional Council and other councils around the region, because it's key for everyone to be able to work together on the same stream. So we've had a lot of people on board the journey with us for the last nearly 2.5 years. So it's a huge point for us to have ordered the equipment and have that on the way so we can take that first step. And then once that's here, we can test the actual plastic itself and what we're producing. So it might not be rocket science to you right now, as we've got a lot of expertise in the room. But for us, we're going to be specialising in what we know. We know plastic. And we're going to be focusing on that, as we know that's a massive issue. We hear calls for banning plastic, and we agree with the single-use ban. And until there's actually another invention as a whole plastic alternative to replacing the engineering grade, then we need to do what we can with what's already out in the market and keep on replacing it, reusing it, recycling it, and keep the chain moving forward. So what I'd say to you is we are here for until tomorrow lunchtime. We'd love to have a chat with you. You're the people that have been in the industry for many, many years, come up against multiple challenges. We've been working on this for a couple of years, and we're aware of our local community, our local region, but we'd love to hear from you. We're here to learn from you. That's the whole point of being here. So it's a pleasure so far. So I welcome comments, I welcome feedback. If you want to know any more about the structure, I know I've wrapped up a bit early for questioning that.
That's cool.
Thank you very much. I've been told not to.
Any questions of Leslie, please?